Y'all, live action, live action. Good morning, good morning. Thank you everybody hopping on here. Today we're gonna talk about the big change that got me into Stanford Medical School. And there's a lot of things that changed to get into Stanford, but this is the biggest one that was the catalyst for literally everything. As you guys may or may not know, I was at the bottom of the pre-med pack, right? Told I would never get into medical school, but I transformed myself. I made big, massive, sweeping changes to make myself great, to make myself incredible, to make myself successful, and to get into Stanford Medical School. And today we're going to talk about this central change that was a catalyst for everything. And I think that will help a lot of you guys because it's your refusal or your, I guess you don't recognize you have the option to change this and make this change that's holding you back. So we're going to talk about it today. We'll hit the intro right now and then we'll get right to it, y'all.
But stop making excuses, stop whining, stop, right? Get at it. No excuses, just dominate.
All right, we are back. I'm Dr. Andre Pinesett, the study doc, and we are live action once again. This is a live stream, so if you are on here with me live, make sure you interact, you comment. I see your comments going on right here, right? Let me know I'm not alone, guys. I do this live because I don't want to be alone in this room. I want to be with you guys. So first time joining me, I'm Dr. Pinesett, I'm the study doc. I'm here to bring you guys strategies to be more productive, be more positive, to pre-med better, to study better, and to meet your goals. And for me, one of the big goals I had in my life was becoming a doctor, right? And it meant a lot to me because it meant great stuff for my family. It made me be able to make an impact both as a clinician, but also as an academic, and being able to mentor and be there and teach people how to be great, right, and elevate themselves. And so that's what I saw as being a physician. So it was my dream. And my dream was almost a dream deterred when my freshman college counselor told me that I didn't have what it takes to not only get into medical school, because she told me I would never get into any medical school ever, but she also told me that I didn't have what it takes to survive in the sciences and encouraged me to switch to one of the soft sciences, humanities or whatever, in the hopes of just getting a degree and getting through. And luckily I ignored her. Thankfully I ignored her, and I had that confidence in myself, saying, no, I'm going to get it done. But it was a big wake-up call. It forced me to reevaluate where I was and ask a central question that many of you guys refuse to ask yourselves. And that question is, why was I not? Why am I not in that moment the student and the pre-med that I need to be successful? How many of you guys have asked yourselves that question? Oftentimes, the question we ask ourselves instead is, am I good enough to be a doctor? Am I meant to be a doctor? Should I be a doctor, right? Am I a good pre-med? Instead of asking the question, why am I not the pre-med I need to be? And the follow-up question, how can I be the pre-med I need to be? It's a subtle difference, but a lot of you guys, right, as you're studying for the MCAT or you're moving through your pre-med journey and you hit a roadblock, you ask yourself, do I have what it takes to be a doctor? Should I be a doctor? Should I do something else? Instead of asking, no. I know I need to be a doctor. So what do I need to do? What needs to happen for me to become that person who can get into medical school, who can become the doctor, who can make the impact I see myself making? And then how do I do it, right? And so for me, I asked myself, I had to have a real, right, they say come to Jesus moment where I had to sit there and look at me and be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What do I need to change? And the central change that completely transformed my life, and if you guys understand what I'm saying today, we're gonna break it down step by step, but the singular change is that I started aligning my focus with my future. So when I asked myself why I'm not the student I need to be to get into medical school, I started really looking and deep diving, and I recognized that the singular reason, strip everything else away, is that I wasn't putting my focus where it needed to be. I wasn't focused enough. Not necessarily always my own fault, because there's all things we're going to talk about that get in our way of our focus, but I wasn't focused enough for my future. And so I made the decision to align my focus with my future and with my aspirations and with my dream. And while that may seem like, okay, that's obvious, how many of you guys feel unfocused, right? How many of you guys feel like your life is chaos, scatterbrain? You don't know what you're supposed to be doing. You don't know when you're supposed to be doing it. You don't know how you're supposed to be doing it. You're always confused about what the next step is. How many of you guys live in that confusion, that chaos? Can everybody hear me? Am I coming through loud and clear? Can everybody understand what I'm saying right now? How many of you guys live in constant fear and doubt? I'm not sure I'm on track to get to medical school. I'm not sure what I need to do to get to medical school. How many of you guys live in that mode? What should I be doing? All these things. And it's because we don't have our focus aligned on our future, right? Some of you guys are focused on today and surviving the day. And what's interesting about our lives, and the way we go through, we'll talk about it here in a second, but is the survive the day mentality. I'm going to write this down because a lot of you guys have an STD. Yes, I said that. A lot of you guys have an STD. You're infected with survive the day mentality. I can't think about tomorrow. I just got to survive the day. I'm just going to get through this class. I'm not going to worry about learning this. I'm just going to get through. Oh, I'm just going to get through this activity and get to the next one. I'm not really even thinking about how I'm getting it done, right? Survive the day, STD. So we're going to change that, guys. We're going to align our focus. Instead of on today, we're going to align on the future and what we want to become, what we need to become, right? Our dream. And so the first thing as part of that, aligning that focus, is that I recognized, as Whitney said, that it was all in me. Anything that I want done, baby, you can get it naturally. Whoa, 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 right? Like Whitney said. You guys have to recognize that if you want something, if you want a future, if you want success, if you want anything in this world, if you want a date, you better go get that date. Ain't gonna be no hookup. How many of y'all like, hey, hook you up with that girl you know? They ain't hooking you up. Because if she's that bomb, he's trying to hook himself up. He ain't trying to hook you up. That's the reality. Come on now, let's be serious. No one can hook you up but yourself. And so you have to say to yourself that I'm going to get it done. And the question, right? So we're going to ask ourselves a series of questions. I want you to write these questions down. The question you have to ask is, what can I do right now? What can I do to create my future? David says, wow, I have an STD. You recognize it, right? Calvin had a realization this morning. I'm doing too many different things to do the one great thing or accomplish anything. So I need to just focus on the one thing, right? We're going to get there. But you have to ask yourself, what can I do to create my future? And as you guys have heard me say, my affirmation, I say to myself every single day, is everything I am or ever will be is a direct result of me. My effort, my care, my focus, and my decisions. Every single day I say this to myself. Everything I am or ever will be is a direct result of me. My effort, my care, my focus, and my decisions. And it's a simple reminder to myself every single day that it's up to me to create my future. We can't ask for handouts. We can't beg for opportunities because people aren't going to give us anything if it's not in their best interest. So we have to create our greatness. We have to create our opportunities. We have to create our success. It's only up to us. And this is the big problem, the big catastrophic problem with race relations in America is that anytime someone says something is racist, the assumption is that, oh, the racism is the reason we can't be successful. And it cuts both ways in the sense that if I say, hey, listen, there's racism in the world, right? I posted about Juneteenth last week and everybody's like, oh, you're creating a divide in this world and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just pointing out the simple and true fact that racism exists. I'm a doctor. Racism didn't stop me from succeeding, but gosh darn, it did add a layer of difficulty to me succeeding. But the point is nothing outside of me can hold me back. It's only me. I decided, screw racism. Forget what people want to say to me, how people want to make me feel alienated. You can't make me feel a certain way. I make myself feel a certain way, and I feel great. I feel incredible. I belong here. And it was something we talked about last night. We had 5 pillars of study and coaching last night, is that for many of you guys as students and as premeds, how many of you guys feel like you don't belong? You look around the room, and there's a sense someone is an imposter here. Someone doesn't fit the mold. Someone doesn't have what it takes to be great. How many of you guys walk around with that mindset where you're like, man, I don't know. I'm just lucky to be here. I'm just lucky to be here. Be honest, right? Rosanna saying yes. What up? Good morning. Julian, what up? Good morning. How many of you guys do that, right? We walk around with that mindset of, I'm just lucky to be here. I'm just a participant. Just want a participation award. You're very welcome. I'm glad you want a pathway, right? Always the only one in the room for me, right? We feel that. And what we don't recognize is that when we feel like we don't belong there, when we feel like we don't have what it takes, when we tell ourselves that, you will never belong there. And this is a big thing, right? When we talk about, again, I'm going to go back to this racism thing, is that if you are believing that racism can hold you back, then you will never succeed because there's racism everywhere. If you believe that other students have some advantage over you that you can't overcome, you shall never overcome because you don't believe it. And so we start to embody that fact that we aren't good enough. We doubt ourselves. We hold ourselves back. And then we are left thinking we are inadequate. And if we are inadequate, we cannot uplift ourselves. We cannot push ourselves forward. We cannot make ourselves successful. And therefore we become what? Dependent drones, where we are constantly seeking someone else to pull us up, not believing in our own ability to uplift ourselves. And this is a big, big problem for students, is that there's these constructs in academics that label you guys. Right? How many of y'all been labeled? ADHD, dyslexia, just plain old dumb, right? Incompetent, not capable, remedial. All these words that we internalize as, oh, this is us forever. And we have to look beyond that and say, no, I can and I must be more. And to be that more, I have to put the work in. It's not someone else someone can give to me. People all the time hit me up in my DMs. Like someone yesterday listened to me, hey, Dr. Pinesett, blah, blah, blah. I'm really struggling in my pre-med journey. I got all these questions. I just need a positive word from you to get me through. Like, a positive word for me to get you through? You got to let you through. You got to put you through. You got to put the time and the effort in to understand what you got to do in your pre-med journey. I can't, not one word from me in your DMs is going to help you. Come on. Understand what I'm saying right now. If you guys understand what I'm saying right now, like this video. What are we talking? Like, you got to get it done. I can't wheel you to medical school as much as I would love to, blink my eyes and get you into medical school. You got to put that work in, right? Devin saying, yes, I've been labeled, right? We've experienced that, okay? So that's the first question we're asking ourselves is, what can I do to create my future? It's all in me, right? We got to believe in ourselves. Like Whitney says, we got to take it on ourselves, take the responsibility that we can do it. The second question, right? And actually, I'll conclude this by saying, when I say, what can I do to create my future? This is something I want you guys to understand. When you're looking at the reason why you're not successful, why you want the student you want to be, why you want to attract to medical school, hear me and hear me now. There is no problem other than you. You are the problem. Period. As an extension of that, there is no other solution other than you. If you want the problem solved, you've got to fix you. You've got to do it yourself. And ultimately, no one can save you but you. As much as you want to be saved, as E40 says, you got to save you. You got to put yourself forward. And to do that, right, the next question we ask ourselves is, what do I need to focus on to create my future? How many of you guys do stuff because people tell you to do stuff? And as you do it in the moment, in that, not even later, in the exact moment you choose and you decide to do something, you know going into that decision, it's not the right move for you. How many guys are involved in activities you hate? How many of you guys are enrolled in too many classes because someone told you to enroll in all those classes and you about to get straight Fs? You enrolled knowing you can't handle that workload. Think about that. Think about the idiocy of that, right? But we do it all the time because we're not asking ourselves, taking the time to say, no. What can I do? What can I focus on to create my future? Instead, we let people push us off path, push us in directions without a concern for what really we need to do to get great. You know what I mean? One of my favorite things to do for comedy, and I encourage everybody, all my students to send me stuff, send me links. When you see a thread about me on SDN and Reddit, send it to me. I laugh hysterically at the people who are on these anonymous forums convincing students not to get the help they need. Talking about, oh, you got everything you need right here. Well, if they had everything they needed right there, they wouldn't be in there asking a billion questions. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm not hungry, but I will take one of them rolls and one of them roast beefs. And like, no, you're either hungry or you ain't hungry. If you're hungry, you gotta get fed. It doesn't just disappear. Recognize, guys, you've got to ask yourself, what can I focus on? What can I do right now? And have a singular priority. And as I think it was Robert who was on here earlier was talking about it, right? Is you guys know my quote that I love from Gary Keller, the one thing. What's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? How many of you guys are pre-meds with low GPAs? It's painful. Brings me to tears almost to get emails from pre-meds who are like, oh, hey, Dr. Pinesett, I really messed up in undergrad. My GPA is 2.5. I'm going to really work on it and I'm going to focus on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of classes and simultaneously I'm going to join a research lab. I'm also going to volunteer. I'm also going to be shadowing a physician. I'm also going to be... Guys, if your GPA is a 2.5, medical schools don't care if you cure cancer. They won't let you in. So how about you address the one thing that matters most, that will make the most difference in your candidacy? How many of you guys have a low GPA? This is actually too. You don't even adjust the GPA. Let's skip that. But you're like, oh, the MCAT's going to save me. I'm going to blow this MCAT out of the water. 520, here I come. And then I ask you, what are you doing for your prep? And you're like, oh, well, I'm studying for the MCAT, but I'm also working full time. I'm also in a research lab. I'm also, but I thought the MCAT was the most important thing to your application. So why are we doing all these other things? Why are we only studying for the MCAT 2 hours a day and instead doing 6 hours a day in the lab? That doesn't make any sense. And then you wonder why your MCAT score is not improving. You wonder why your GPA is not where it needs to be. Because you aren't focusing on what you need to focus on. It's a matter and a lack of clear and consistent focus on the issue, on the task at hand. Instead, you multitask thinking you're being successful. Oh, I'm getting all these things done. I'm building up my resume. I've got my research going on. I'm always doing MCAT prep. I'm doing everything. I'm doing so great. I'm everything. No, you're nothing. You're nothing. Literally. And this brings us to our last question. What can I do to give the priority what it needs to be productive and move closer to my future? What can I do to give the priority what it needs to be productive and move closer to my future? And this question is so important, guys, because when you guys try to say, oh, I can multitask, I can do all these things, I can do it. This quote right here from Tony Schwartz. Without the right quantity, quality, focus, and force of energy, we are compromised in any activity we undertake. Do you guys hear it? Without the right quantity, quality, focus, and force of energy, we are compromised in any activity we undertake. How many of you guys are compromised? How many of you guys are self-sabotaging? You say the MCAT is your priority. You're saying the MCAT matters, but are you giving it the right quantity of time, of energy, of focus? Are you giving it the right quality of time, energy, focus? Or are you compromising your ability to improve your MCAT score? If you're involved in 50 clubs, can any of those clubs really get your focus, your time, and your energy? Can you really make an impact? Can you really make a difference? Can you really move yourself forward? Come on now. I'm asking very basic, simple questions. But how many of you guys have neglected to ask yourselves these questions? And as a result, you are a diluted pre-med. You are a diluted student. You know what? This is the example. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Everyone's had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? We love peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What are the ways you can ruin a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? There's only two. Well, actually, it's three because you could not toast the bread properly, right? But the two fundamental ways to mess up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is too little spread too thin, or too much spread and it's everywhere, right? That's it. But most of the time, it's too little spread. You're eating two dry pieces of bread. You got to put some jelly on that bad boy. I want some strawberry jelly this thick on it. Some of you guys are spread too thin. You a dry peanut butter and jelly sandwich, y'all. Dry peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All the peanut butter, ain't enough jelly on that sandwich. No jelly in the sandwich, right? Beyonce, I don't think you're ready for the jelly. You ain't ready for no jelly. You ain't got no jelly on your sandwich. Use a dry peanut butter sandwich. And you're wondering, why am I stuck in the mud? Oh, Because you're spread across 50 activities, spread way too thin and not enough to anything. Right? You guys are the tender of pre-med. You swiping left and right on everything, but you ain't got no relationship. You got acquaintances, you got meetups, but you ain't got no significance in none of your relationships. Exactly, like a dog with that peanut butter cone. It's a terrible situation. It's terrible. But that's where we're at because we're spread too thin, guys. Being a part of something, people always ask me, oh, you know, I think my candidacy is great. You know, I've got plenty of hours of this, plenty of hours of this. I'm like, it's not about hours. Did you put in focused energy into those hours to actually make a difference? Do they care if you don't show up to the lab for a week and the lab doesn't notice? You think you're slick. Like, oh, I didn't go to lab this whole week. They never even knew. Characters, you played yourself. If no one knows that you haven't been in lab in a week, that means you are unessential. That means you have no contribution to that lab. So do you think med school's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's a great candidate? No. You aren't focused in. You think you winning, you losing. you in a race to the bottom. Does everybody understand what I'm saying right there? Like the video right now, comment. Tell me that I'm speaking to you right now so I know on this Friday morning that it ain't just me, right? That I wasn't the only pre-med who was like this, was all over the place, right? Jack of everything, master of none, not getting the job done. Come on. Thank you. Julia, be honest. Be honest, people, right? It's a race to the bottom. Come on. We've got to do better that. So ask yourself, guys. Ask yourselves. True story. Oh, and actually, I love that. Bradford just said it. I love this. And so, Bradford, it's so funny you just put that up there. I'll put it on the screen right here for people on YouTube. Bradford says, hey, Doc, I caught you. My challenge is that correct me not organized enough. I'm being reactive instead of proactive. This is the reality, guys. Like I was just talking about. You guys are being led to your doom and don't even know it. You guys are reacting to the world instead of being proactive in this world. We're doing things, but we're not executing things. We're not moving forward in things. We aren't excelling in things. We aren't, right? We're just there. We're passive bystanders. Ooh, active learning. You don't know what active learning means, but you use it a lot and you think, oh, this is active learning. Active learning is way more complex than what you could fathom. Active learning, right? Some of you guys are passive premeds. You aren't active premeds. You got to be active premed. And so we're going to ask ourselves, Bradford, are you ready to clear it up? Here's how you can be proactive instead of reactive. Ask yourself these questions. What really matters in your life? A lot of you guys do things because you quote unquote have to do them. If you're really honest, there's very few things you have to do. There's even less things that you should do. Think about it. Oh, I have to be there for my girlfriend during this weekend. It's really important to her, blah, 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 blah. Guys, that's a have to if you want to be with that girl, but maybe you shouldn't be with that girl. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, y'all. Right? Can we be honest? What really matters? What really makes the difference? What really moves the meter? Be Netflix, not Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime just be putting out junk. They just put out show. Netflix gives us variety on the extremes. I hate a lot of Netflix shows, but I love a lot of Netflix shows. Why? Because Netflix says, listen, I'm not going to try to be everything to everybody. This show is specifically for this one person. Where are you at? Amazon's making super generic content. I'm like, I can't even get with that. It's not even worth that. Cancel that membership. Right? You got to hone in. What really matters, what really moves the meters, what really is going to get the job done. Second question. Who is taking away from what really matters to me? Who is taking away from what really matters to me? How many of you guys have people who are taking away from what really matters to you? And you allow them to take away from what really matters to you. Just because something's important to someone else doesn't mean it's important to you. Like the video right now if you understand what I'm saying, y'all. Put true in the comment box if you understand what I'm saying right now. Like Santino just did, say facts. Pay attention, y'all. Right? Brina, thank you. True. It's the reality, right? It's the truth. How many of you guys, right? So ask yourselves, who is actively taking away from my future? Who's a future thief? How many of y'all got future thieves in your lives? Jessica David saying facts, right? Big facts. How many of y'all got future thieves? That's what we're gonna start calling them. You see like a Tom Cruise movie or like a Jude Law, like a futuristic movie, right? And they got time thieves and future thieves. What's that movie with Justin Timberlake? Out of Time or something like that. When he runs around and got like time on his watch, whatever, on his wrist, right? Some of y'all got future thieves in your life who are literally ripping your dream straight from you. Straight gank move. Right? I was just watching Straight Outta Compton. They're like, what's ganking? Right? These East Coast traps over there. Right? You getting ganked out your future. You don't even recognize it. You don't even recognize it. Don't even realize it. And you're allowing people to steal from you, steal your future from you. And what's more valuable than your future? Future thieves. That's right. Rosanna just hit it on the head. There are future thieves and there are energy vampires. The two cats in your lives. Where they at? Get rid of them. Okay? Brina says your family. And sometimes it is your family. Right? Sometimes it is your family. And I saw a quote the other day. It was talking about friendship. And it was saying a true friendship doesn't require daily phone calls. If I have to call you every day for you to know that I care about you, we ain't meant to be friends or anything otherwise. I should be able to go years without talking to you, call you up, and you're like, hey, what up? And it's like we never didn't talk because you understood that I was on a grind for a period of time or whatever was going on. That's true friendship. So who's taking away? And the last question is, what is taking away? Who is taking away? What is taking away from what really matters to you? So if you're saying that, hey, it's MCAT time, I got to focus on the MCAT, then how can you focus on the MCAT if you're also doing your application? How can you focus on the MCAT if you're also volunteering over here? How can you be focused on the MCAT if you're also shadowing over here? You can't do it all. All that stuff is taking away time, focus, and energy away from your MCAT. And you have to recognize that with the MCAT, you're competing against a lot of people who actually did ask themselves, what do I need to focus on? And said the MCAT and said, I'm going to drop everything else, right? We just finished up the application for one of my students and we were talking about her disadvantage statement. And I was like, man, your disadvantage statement doesn't do justice to what you've overcome. And she rewrote her disadvantage statement. I was so proud of it because she talked about the fact that, hey, listen, in order to get this MCAT score that you see that's amazing, that's incredible, I had to stop working. And because I stopped working, I lost my healthcare benefits and I suffer from a chronic illness. And so I've had many flares throughout my MCAT studying, but I did that for the score. I sacrificed. Additionally, because I wasn't working, I didn't have the money. So I spent time either living in my car or living on friends' couches to get the MCAT score. But you know what, guys? I got the MCAT score. Despite that disadvantage, despite that obstacle, despite that uphill, I got it done, right? No excuses, just dominate whatever it takes. There are students out there that are asking themselves what really matters. Can I go 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in a car? I can make it happen for my future. I can trade 4 months for 4 decades. But some of you guys aren't asking yourselves the key questions and aren't executing on the answers because a lot of you guys know the answer, but you're ignoring it because the other answer is more convenient, right? It's more convenient. So Grace, I think I just answered your question. What are you willing to do, guys? What are you willing to give to get great? It's a question I ask all the time. What are you willing to give to get great? Because all greatness requires that you give something. You got to give it up. What are you willing to give up to get the greatness? That's the key question, y'all. So I hope you guys understand what we're saying here today, and that we have to change how we go about things. And we have to start aligning our focus with our future, not with just surviving the day, not just what other people think we need to do, not what do we need to focus on for our future? And then taking responsibility for that and saying, what can I do to solve my problem? How can I be the solution for this problem? What can I change? What can I do to evolve, to step up? And then ask yourself, okay, well, what do I need to focus on right now? What's the one thing, that one priority? And then how can I give that one priority more focus, more energy, more attention to make sure that it's productive and it's moving me closer to my future? I don't want to be stuck in the mud, spread too thin, thick peanut butter, right? I don't want to be moving backwards. I don't want to be running in circles, not getting anywhere. I've got to get to my future. Otherwise, it's just wasted action. That's what we're doing today, guys. We're aligning our focus with our future. And for a lot of you guys, where this starts is being clear on your future. And we were talking last night in study coaching for my 5 pillars. If you guys do not already know, I have a course called the 5 Pillars of Studying Less and Getting Better Grades. It's an incredible course and program. You get all my on-demand lectures, and you also get coaching with me. And why the coaching is so important is because for some of you guys, for many of you guys, for most of you guys, you've been bad so long, you don't know how to be good. Like Willa Ford says, I want to be bad. You make bad look so good. I got things on my mind. Right? That song? Everybody knows that? Am I too old? Right? A lot of you guys have been bad for so long, you love being bad. You love it. You live in it. You believe in it. You understand that badness. And so when someone tries to show you something good, you can't even understand what it is, can't even get with it. Because you're like, man, what is that? That is so different. That is so far from where I am right now. I cannot get there. So you need someone to bring you along that path. That's what my 5 pillars does. If you guys want to check that out, right? Link is always below in the description. But also I have a free study webinar you guys can check out to learn more about how I will change you in your studying and how you can make changes and how I change my studying. So check that out. But last night in 5 pillars, we were talking about how when our focus is not aligned on what we want, and we talk about, right, looking at ways and recognizing that we've got to put our focus in, we've got to give something to get great. And it was so cool because like one of my students came on, Richard, who just finished his post-bac with a 3.9 GPA, right, and he's about to apply to medical school. He recognized that what took him from being the student who wasn't performing the way he wanted to perform in undergrad that led him to a post-bac to becoming that student who was a 3.9 through the 5 pillars. He recognized that certain sacrifices had to be made. He had to give something to get great. And so even though he's a first-generation college student, even though he has to work full-time to support himself during college, he recognized that, hey, I'm working to support myself, but I have to make, right, and give up things. And so he said, listen, I'm going to give up certain luxuries, and I'm going to take every single spare nickel I have and invest it in my education. So he bought an iPad instead of getting concert tickets, right? He went and bought a nice, comfortable chair for his study environment. He went and bought a stand-up desk. He did all these things to elevate his education instead of, right, allocating it elsewhere. He was willing to give up some of the trivialities of, right, college comfort to say, no, I'm going to create a life of comfort as a physician, making an impact, going back into my community and making a difference. That's the decision tree. So some of you guys got to say, what am I willing to give to get great? And then we do that. Part of that is that focus. You have to give your focus to what really matters and stop focusing on trivialities. So that doesn't matter. And so through this whole conversation, we were talking about how, for me, right, I'm inconsistent on social media. How many of you guys would acknowledge that I'm here on social media sometimes, I'm not there on social media sometimes? And the reason that is, guys, is because social media does nothing for me. Social media is a distractor to our society. And so when I'm on social media, I often feel like I'm contributing to the distraction. Because you guys see me, you see I'm bringing good stuff, and you assume there's other good stuff on social media. But 99% of social media is time wasting. Watching people bust it down doesn't get you to medical school. Watching people wipe a mirror clean and put on a white coat that they haven't earned doesn't get you to medical school. Just saying. Just being honest with you guys. So stop letting things and people that aren't moving you forward take away from your focus. Focus on what moves you forward, y'all. Digital minimalism is key. Jessica Lamb, right? Cal Newport has a great book on digital minimalism. It's a great movement. He has a great book on it, breaking down the research behind it. Recognize, y'all. Have a great day. If you guys enjoyed this right now, I want you guys to like this video and let the algorithm know that, hey, Dr. Pinesett is spitting the truth. He's bringing it today. if you're ready, right, to say, you know what, it's time for me to level up. It's time for me to just, I got to really get my focus on. I got to get my future on. Get to my website, thestudydoc.com, THE, studydoc.com, thestudydoc.com, and get into one of my courses or my coaching program, and let's get great, y'all. Stop meandering. Stop meandering, y'all. And let's end this video the way we end all our videos. How do we do it? No excuses, just dominate, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, right, my courses are linked below. I have free webinars for you guys. I have a study webinar, MCAT webinar going right now, so check those out. Learn how to get great, y'all, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys. You guys are very welcome. Enjoy the day. Make the weekend productive. Make it fun. Have some good times this weekend at least. Do something. All right? Later, guys.